Hey, this is Zach, co-host of We're Not Marketers, a top 10% global podcast for B2B product marketers who aren't marketers. This is our 25th episode and we need your help. Our pod is growing. Perfect time for our first official sponsor. Keep the pod alive even if the skeletons are not. Interested? Shoot us a message on our We're Not Marketers page on LinkedIn. PMA even loves us. But love don't cost a thing. I mean, love don't keep the lights on for this misunderstood movement, especially our podcast. All right, you guys enjoy the show. We are a podcast for product marketers and B2B SaaS who feel misunderstood of what they do.
From someone who truly gets what you do and
basically help you feel less like a misfit, being unignorable in your role.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of We're Not Marketers. You've got the one and only and still self-titled Franken-marketer here, Eric Holland. I'll toss it down to you, Zach, to give an intro.
Before I kick out the intro, I didn't realize we're both rocking our sweaters today. So I gotta from the top level, it looks like glorified storyteller. So I don't know if that's a prelude of what we're gonna discuss. But here, I'm Zach. I'm the sales water boy. Gonna pass it down to Gab.
Gab Bugeaud, sales deck intern, still doing sales deck until I die. And from my point of view, it's actually storyteller glorified, which still doesn't work, but I'll take it.
If we add a comma after storyteller.
We're on season 2 now, and we haven't got rid of those names. So you see things aren't changing here. And we've got a very special guest, someone who I've actually been able to meet in person, luckily, and one of probably my biggest influences in the CI space, Mr. Patrick Wall. Hey. You mind giving an intro for our audience and anyone who's not familiar with where to find you?
Hey, my name is Pat Wall, head of competitive intelligence at a company called Imperva, also now purchased by Talus. And yeah, I just love everything compete. I love working on competitive intelligence, helping sales, helping product, helping marketing understand our competition, how to message it, and how to win. And to be honest, I also really wish I had one of those cool sweatshirts. I really need one of those cool storyteller or glorified sweatshirts. So hopefully I can grab one.
All right, we do have them available, but we might get you. We might get you a freebie because
there
you were gracious enough to give us your time.
Yes.
But Pat, we have a huge question we like to ask every guest, and we let Gab do the honors for that. So Gab, take it away.
Yeah, perfect. So Pat, are product marketers actually marketers? Why or why not?
Product marketers are 100% marketers. I have to say they are some of the marketers out there. I think, you can, when you look at a marketing organization, the cornerstone of a lot of marketing organizations are the product marketers, right? When you look at a company that has really good, crisp, clean messaging and content, that's coming from a product marketer. And I think product marketers are 100% marketers, but there's so much more too. They're part sales, they're part product. And that's why I think it's, when you have great product marketing, it shows out across the entire organization.
Okay. And as a CI specialist here, CI's pro, Pat, how does CI relate to product marketing from your experience?
I think CI and product marketing hand in hand. I came from product marketing. I came actually from sales to product marketing to CI. And the way I did this was just looking at, hey, I like sales. I want to help build the better material. So I came into product marketing. And then product marketing, I'm like, we want to win. And how do we understand our competitors? And so that's where I took the part of my product marketing and said, okay, let's become a niche individual within the competitive intelligence world under product marketing and kind of show that out. And the great thing about that is you still have those product marketing chops as a CI individual where you can do the sales, you can do the marketing, you can do the product. And so it gives you this whole encompassing area.
I'm going to let you know I've done some research on you too. So a healthy level for a good conversation, not too much to be creepy.
Gotcha. I like the way creepy. If you want to tell me something, no,
Get a little weird on this show. Get a little weird. Pat, quick question. How did you, first, essentially, did you know any other influencers in CI that propelled you into that space? Like for me, for example, I had you, I had Claire, I had Andy, right? Did you have any of those coming in, or were you kind of,
Oh, not at all. So basically, I started my career as a sales engineer, selling data analytics software. met these product marketers who were like, hey, Pat, we need your help building this dashboard. Can you help us build a dashboard for Salesforce? I'm like, sure. Hung on the product marketers. I'm like, wow, these individuals are really smart and amazing. And so I moved into product marketing. And then from there, I'm like, okay, this is really interesting. This is really impactful, but there's a piece missing and I just fell into it, is competitive intelligence, where I just, hey, let's build these battle cards. Let's make these presentations. Let's enable sales. And so inorganically, I kind of became the competitive intelligence person within product marketing, and I did it really well. So that's when I said, okay, now maybe this should be part of my career. And that's where I've moved into different organizations and helped them build competitive intelligence programs.
Okay. Pat, this episode launches, it's gonna be your 1-year anniversary of the book you wrote with Bruce. I was reading the description at Amazon because I did not have enough time to read your book before this episode. But I was really keen to hear more about a line you mentioned in the description. You talk a little bit about how most CI programs play the notes and fail to make the music. Can you dig a little deeper on that? Yeah. Were you watching the Black Eyed Peas Super Bowl show when you were thinking of that line? Because hot take, I don't like BIP or Black Eyed Peas, but that's not what the episode's about. But just dig deeper in that.
Well, it was basically, we were writing the book and we were thinking about, hey, if I was starting off my career in competitive intelligence, what would I want to know for that? And that's why I wrote the book, right? We didn't write the book to make money. We wrote the book just as a way to say, hey, this is why we can help other individuals. And so a lot of companies, they think of CI as just, okay, we got these battle cards and we got this presentation and it's some guy or girl sitting behind a desk just researching, and they think you're James Bond out there. And so the problem is a lot of these companies, they have these CI programs and they have these battle cards, they may have a presentation, but they're not talking in the sales. They're not getting out and getting in front of customers. They're not getting primary research. And they're just doing the bare minimum. And I think that's sometimes when I say, that quote is really about that, is, hey, there's so much more that you can do in CI to make it effective and to actually help your organization, right? And so that's why we did this.
Then that made me think about what Clara said on the show, and it was that sometimes, at least for product marketers, CI is like not necessarily enough to tell the line item. And every time that it's considered a line item, the results don't follow up with the initiative. So this kind of bring me to when I started in product marketing, I kind of thought about battle cards, and I was identifying competitor analysis and battle cards as CI. How do you feel personally when you hear someone saying, oh, CI is all about battle cards and nothing else, basically? Was that something you heard before, and what was your initial reaction?
Drives me insane, really. To be honest, if there was this is tea, but when people say that, there might be something else in this cup, because it drives me insane.
Not going to go through that wall.
Competitive intelligence. Yeah. Competitive intelligence is so much more than battle cards, but it still happens. And I think the problem is a lot of CI people, including myself when I started out, I didn't define what CI is, right? So when you talk to everyone, competitive intelligence is a different thing. It's battle cards, it's kill sheets, it's presentations, it's technical CI, it's helping sales reps and just being that person that responds to the competitive Slack channel. And so what I think the biggest problem that we see a lot is people think, hey, competitive intelligence battle cards, because that's what we've always heard, right? But I think when you go into an organization, or even when you're still in an organization, you really need to define what competitive intelligence is, and more importantly, what competitive intelligence isn't. And I've done this in my career where, when I first started my career in competitive intelligence, I was similar to that. I'm like, oh, it's battle cards and it's cool little Harvey balls with this half circle, and we have all these great circles and everything's amazing, and we're the best and everyone's awful. And it's just that. But then, people ask me other things, and can you do this? Can you do that? And so you really have to define what CI is in your organization and what it's not, right? And what that other area goes on to.
You were Harvey balling it when you first started out.
Yeah, I was Harvey balling it.
You're Harvey balling it hard, Pat. If y'all don't know what a Harvey ball is, just imagine a circle, and you've section it out into quadrants, and you've assigned a feature 1 out of 4, right? 4 being the highest. So a full circle would be thumbs up. A quarter circle or no circle would be thumbs down. Patrick was Harvey balling it when he started out in CI.
I'm like,
absolutely. And one of the biggest problems with Harvey balls is you always make yourself a 4. So you look amazing. 2.
I did the same thing.
It's
not realistic.
Pat, we're really grateful
Everyone's a 3.
that Eric
Everyone's
really
a 3.
clarified that term for us, because in a previous episode he dropped the analogy "kiss your sister," and it did have us for a pause for consideration.
Yeah, Pat, we had Claire on, right? And
Yeah.
conversation about winning and losing. And I said, and tying's like kissing your sister. And I'm the only one out of 4 people on the call who's heard that saying before.
Yeah.
We want to clear it up with another CI professional. Have you heard the term kissing your sister as it relates to tying?
Never heard that. But hey, you know what? Now you learn something new every day, right? So now I learn something new every day.
Mara, shout out to Mara. You hit me up today. You've heard that saying, and I'm not the only one in CI who's heard it, apparently.
I'll be next.
I'm not wearing it.
So Pat, we like to have a little fun on this show more than we're already having. So we have a torture chamber device. I modify it depending on my guest. Started out as a messaging torture chamber, but now I've built it for you and our CI professionals. So the game is either or. We force you in a phone booth. You have to pick one of these options. And no matter how terrible they sound and painful they make your heart, you just have to pick one to ride with for your career. All right. So first one, battle cards or making slide decks?
Ooh, gotta go slide decks.
Oh, okay. Someone telling you that your only competition is the status quo, or you don't have any competitors at all.
Is there like a neither?
No, there's no.
You gotta choose one.
Or a pass.
Oh, well, I've been in the no situation, and I've been in both of those before. I'm gonna have to say status quo.
Okay, that's fair. I would also pick that too. It gives them at least a little bit to chew on, right?
Yeah.
All right. Last minute competitor review, or a last minute intel request for a board meeting.
Ooh, I'm gonna say competitor review, because the board meetings are much more stressful.
High stakes in those, right? You have to analyze an ankle biter every single day you come in, or there's no one to analyze at all.
Oh, every day I'm analyzing ankle biters. Give me the ankle biter. So you have to. If there's no one analyzing, there's no job for you.
All right, building a battle card from scratch or having to redo an incumbent's battle cards.
Redo. I'll do redo, because there's probably some good information in there.
Yeah.
So you can still have some versus nothing.
Even if I was the battle card guy before you?
100%. 100%.
All right. This one's a little bit more intricate here. So would you rather have access to only one competitor, but it be extremely accurate, or you've got like a really broad, narrow scope of your whole competitor list?
So you only have one competitor, you have a bunch of narrow.
Yeah, one competitor, like your top competitor, very detailed. No one else you have no intel on, or you have a little bit of intel across your entire competitor base.
Well, a little bit of intel across your entire competitor base.
Yeah.
You be as accurate as you want, but you need that. So.
But all right, Pat, we got one last torture question for you. So your competitive or everyone else on your team is doing like a Slack onslaught every day. Here's a competitor thing. Here's a competitor thing, right? The same press release has been sent 7 times in the same day. Or no one's engaging in Slack at all, and you're the only one to surface the competitive intel yourself.
Oh, give me all the requests. Give me all this stuff. I love that. That's what I love. If you have people in your Slack channel getting excited about competitive intelligence, that's the best thing that happens.
All right, cool. Then we can unlock you. You've did a great job today in the torture chamber, and thank you for being friendly with that.
Absolutely.
Matt,
all right.
Oh, go for it. I had a follow-up question real quick, guys. I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, Matt, and you had a former leader from Imperva, Matt Hathaway, and he was talking about your first 6 months joining the team. And what was really unique about that is that it felt like what I was reading was an anomaly for a lot of product marketers in their first 6 months. No, but if you're in a like scale up, startup, people don't know who you are. But somehow, within the end of the 6 months, Matt mentioned you were being pulled into active opportunities from the sales team, being brought in on deals. For product marketers who don't even have the leisure of having their sales team know them by their first name. Can you go deeper into that? What were you doing specifically to get so much influence within the sales team that they were like you said here earlier, like, They're requesting you to come on these customer calls.
It was actually really simple. I talked to them. Like, it was really simple. I just went out and I talked to sales, and I talked to sales engineers, and I asked them when I first got there, what do you need? What is your biggest problem with competitive intelligence? And then I solved that. And it was really, and I think one of the things that can happen is when you can show a sales organization or sales engineering that you can get stuff done, but also you can be a partner with them. That's when they're like, okay, this is someone who's going to help me make my number, right? This is someone who's going to help me make a deal, right? This is someone who's going to be a advisor strategy. I think the best sales reps bring in the people to help them out. And so that's when you become one of those individuals that can be that person and just have conversations with them and say, hey, this is what's happening here. Or, hey, I saw you post in the competitive Slack. Here's a little bit more example. You got 10 minutes I can talk to you about this? Being that person and being in front of sales and constantly being in front of sales is a great way to have them start to bring you in and help them build that in. And so that's all I did, is really just went out and talked to them. I always say, I'm a sales guy in competitive close, right? I grew up in sales, and that's what I try to be. I just try to be a sales rep for competitive.
What is, just one more follow-up, what does it mean being constantly in front of them? Is it like just slacking them every day? Is it like, what's this I look like?
It's everything. Yeah. So it's slacking, it's email, it's presenting, it's get in front of the sales reps however way you can, right? And you have to remember, some sales reps, they need to see you eye to eye, right? So go to QBRs. Some sales reps are cool with Slack, where they're, okay, he's really into Slack. Other ones only look into email. Some only care about, the enablement sessions, right? So you need to be where they are, right? And so it's getting in front of them multiple ways, right? I always say, like, when you have a message or you have a enablement for sales, you have to do it 7 times, right? After the 7th time, they're like, okay, Pat, I get it. Stop talking about this. And when they say that, that's when I love it. That's when I'm like, yes, okay, I love that, because they actually understand it. So,
nice.
And how would you, if I'm a PMM and I want to have impact like that, or if I want to go into CI, would you take the best performing sales rep and try to be friend with them by helping them wins? Like, how would you approach the overall?
I would try to work with the top sales reps you can, help them win, and have them talk about you, right? Have them say, hey, Pat will help me out, or Gabe help me out, right? Have them have that conversation. Also with the top SCs, help them as well, right? Because it's going to give repetition. And when the SC says, hey, you should probably talk to this guy named Pat, to a sales rep, it's going to give that sales rep a lot of clout, because, oh, that sales engineer is helping make my money. Pat might help me make more money too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like internal reference, basically.
Absolutely. And so when I do enablement sessions, like I do enablement sessions, I bring on the top reps. I bring on the top SEs to have a conversation with me about how they want to deal or how they did this. And the reason why is because all the other reps can see, oh, that actually worked. Maybe we need to do that more.
Exactly, and I think, Zach, you brought this point to another episode, but it's like everything you care about is your quota. So if you're able to have someone internally that will follow up with you along and help you fix those pains on why can I win more deals like the top salesman, I feel like it just makes sense, to work with you, and then you just spread your name internally.
100%. And it's, we all talk about building a brand outside of our organization, right? Like, you guys are doing this with We're Not Marketers. But I think one of the things sometimes PMM and marketers don't do really well is build a brand internally. Make sure you have a brand in your organization that says, I can be a helper, I can do this, or whatever you want your brand to be. You need to build a brand both externally, but also internally too, as well.
Do you have friends outside of sales, Pat?
Yeah, I got friends in product management, customer success, marketing, all over.
So. All right, I want you to talk to me about some of those relationships and how you're building those out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with marketing, it's building content, right? Helping them to understand the content. With product marketing, it's being a part of them, saying, hey, this is your competitors and how we can help you out understanding, and this is how we can do this. With product management, it's educating them on what's happening in the market, what's going on in the market, what our competitors doing. Analyst relations, talking to analysts, Gartner and Forrester, they love having conversations with competitive people, because guess what? They talk to all the vendors too. And so you can have a conversation. What are you hearing versus I'm hearing as well? And then also customer success, I think, is a really key area that a lot of people in competitive intelligence don't focus on, that we should, because they talk to our happiest customers, but they also talk to our angriest customers. And so you can get a lot of information from a customer success individual on what's going on, or why a customer came to us, or why a customer is leaving us.
Nothing's better than some good juicy churn intel. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
100%.
That's cool. No, that's a quick question for you. Are you handling the feature preference work yourself and delivering that to product, or someone else in the org doing that?
A little bit of both, combination of both.
Okay, just curious.
So
Awesome.
What does
Yeah.
feature preference work for someone that is hearing that for the first time, i.e. myself?
Oh, you asking me or
Same.
you asking Patrick? But
I
let Eric answer
know.
Yeah,
I
I
looked
mean-
at Pat's eyes. I saw a little bit of disappointment in his eyes when I asked that question. He's like, "How you don't know what that word means?"
no, it's all good. I mean, it's pretty simple. And shout out to the Ready for Launch crew for teaching me feature preference. But, essentially, right, you've got a market of competitors and they're all building features. It's very important during the product development phase to kind of quadrant those out. There's essentially 4 quadrants, and find out what's in the wasteland features, right? The things that no one wants and no one's willing to pay for. And essentially, how does that compare, obviously, to your competition, right? If competitor A is just the best at one thing, but you notice that people aren't really willing to pay for that, then it's good to maybe not put all your energy into that feature, so on and so forth. So that's the layman's explanation of it.
No, that's all I need.
I was gonna say, always ask questions if you don't know anything. Like everyone says ask questions. I always ask questions. I'm like, excuse me, what does that mean? Why is it happening? Right? Because that's how you learn,
Oh, yeah.
especially in competitive intelligence.
Oh yeah. I'm like, Pat, I don't think I could even be on this podcast if I wasn't asking questions to begin with. I appreciate that safe space. A follow-up for you, Pat, is that when I was reading your Amazon reviews of your book, like I said, I did my research.
Yeah.
You said it.
Cool.
You said it. You got it. I was like, I'm like, you got 18 5-star reviews. I'm like, we're gonna talk to you afterwards, but we need to get some more reviews on our podcast. But one of the things that someone mentioned was that, hey, for someone who's a product marketer who is not a dedicated CI person, this is a great book to read. You mentioned a few things in a conversation. You're like, hey, if you're not a dedicated CI, talk to your sales team. You also mentioned doing like an internal SWOT analysis of your CI program. If I'm a product marketer who's looking to build up a CI program, what are 3 things that I can do right now to build that foundation from your perspective?
I think one, and I say this every time. The only thing is, if you're in PMM and you're trying to grow, don't boil the ocean, right? Don't take on too much. I think that's one of the biggest things I've seen, and that's where I've done it too, is where I've boiled the ocean. I said, I took on everything. Oh yeah, I'll build all these battle cards, I'll build all these presentations, I'll do all this stuff. And you get overwhelmed, and you're also going across all your competitors, right? And that brings me, number 2 is, if you haven't done this yet, and you'd be amazed how many people don't do this, tier your competitors. I guarantee you, your tier 1 is 3 to 5 competitors. That's probably 80% of your revenue of your competition, right? Tier your competitors. Make sure you have your tier 1s, then your tier 2s. Those are more regional, maybe some ankle biters, areas of that nature. And tier 3 are kind of all the rest of them that are there, but they're not as important. And what I would do if I was starting a competitive program, this way I do every competitive program I ever start, you focus on the tier 1s. You just focus on the tier 1s. That's going to give you the most impact in your organization, right? The way to get those tier 1s is both qualitative and quantitative data. Look into Salesforce, look in your HubSpot, see who you're winning against and who you're losing against, but also go out and talk to people, your product managers, your sales reps, everyone, and have those conversations and define those tier 1s really well. And then the last thing is really get outside the box. Go talk to customers, talk to sales, go on calls, go to conferences. I think one of the things that makes a really good CI individual is being out there, right? Because that's when you hear what's happening, right? You can read so much on a documentation on their website. You can read so much on, their doc site. But if you really want the best, go get outside, go to conferences, talk to sales, talk to customers, and get in front of people.
And not be the old school ivory tower type, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You cannot be the only one doing CI. I think CI is a global source, right? You need to have the entire organization doing CI, and that's where it's gonna be really powerful.
Yeah.
Is there any sign that like your product marketing team needs a dedicated CI person, or that you should jump into CI yourself within an organization?
I
Because you
think
need to move, so I'm just curious.
that's a great question. I think when organizations hit that critical point where they need a CI individual is when you can see the impact of how CI is affecting the organization, right? And so that means if you're doing battle cards, if you're doing PowerPoints, and you're seeing a big uptick in, hey, this is helping and this is being an area, or on the other side where you're seeing the company having a drastic problem with losing two particular individuals, then that's where I've seen companies say, okay, maybe we need a dedicated person for CI because either we're doing really well and we want to scale this, or we're having trouble in this particular area and just giving one individual 10% of their time to do CI is not worth it on that nature. And I think for individuals trying to move into CI, I think it's looking for those areas, right? Like looking for, okay, we have an organization that's scaling, but we're seeing more competitors, we're seeing more area. Maybe it's time for someone to take that, or there's a problem and I can fix it. And those are two areas where I think it can be really helpful. If you have a problem and you can fix it, that's huge for the company. If you're scaling and you're having problems with understanding all the competition, that's another area you can fix. So look for areas where you can solve a problem and be that, and that's going to help you build in the CI.
You just have to compete against Zach back in the day. He didn't know it though. I was sneaky with it.
Wow. In Dropbox.
And that's actually a side note to that, piggybacking off what you said earlier, as a first time dedicated kind of CI role with a little blend of some other sales enablement stuff, it was like very critical to not chase after all 20 competitors that I had back at old LucidLink days. Like we had Dropbox, we had Box, we had Google Drive eating our lunch. That's where the focus needed to be. And although, of course, sales is coming in, I think we ended up obviously having about 20 competitors. But what Patrick's noted, tearing them out and identifying here's where we are losing our lunch, then you prioritizing that energy there, you're able to see a big change. I can definitely validate that as more of a less seasoned CI pro than Pat. You guys got any more questions?
Oh, Pat, I got a last big question for you here. And you've mentioned enablement a few times. And when I say a few times, I'm counting 6.
He's counting.
And it feels like enablement is a black box for some product marketers. And what I mean by that is that I have a product launch. I need to have an enablement session. It's a checkbox. I'm going to have 30 minutes where I'm going to talk about the product for 25 minutes, and I'm going to ask a Q&A. I'm pulling salespeople by the legs to come into the session. No one's excited about it. No one's eager about it. No one's engaged. For someone like yourself that's been talking about enablement sessions, as someone who's being brought in by salespeople into several active conversations, how should product marketers be thinking about enablement? How should they, what is like a format that you've used to have an effective enablement session?
I think there's two answers to that question. So the first one is, that's one of the biggest problems I always see with product marketers is, hey, we're going to do an enablement session. It's going to be 25 minutes. It's going to be, and this is why we did feature X because it looked cool. And this is why we did feature B because it gives us, and it's boring. And we've all been through those boring sales enablement calls, right? And that's the problem is like a lot of them are boring. Make them fun, make them interactive. Like sales enablement doesn't have to be this like, here's all the information and we're going to dump it on you. Be strategic and say, okay, this is what we're going to do today. We're going to talk a little bit about this product. Then we're going to bring in, one of our beta customers, or we're going to talk about, we're going to bring the product manager, or we're going to talk about a sales rep who requested this. And we're going to bring these people in and have conversations, right? Because they don't want to hear from Pat Wall for 30 minutes. They want to hear from their peers or individual people that are going to help them get excited about it, right? And so I think that's really the area that's key is make it more exciting, make it more, fun. I mean, like it doesn't have to be just as boring, webinars all the time. And the second thing is you got to enable people how they learn, right? Some people learn by video, right? But also other people may learn by reading and understanding and doing that as well. Or some people by doing. So make sure your enablement touches every facet of how people learn, right? So some people are not going to learn from a webinar. And so you might need to have a documentation that they can read and they can scan over. Other people might say, hey, I need to go out and do this. I need to pitch this. So here's a pitch deck for you, right? Make it so that they can be enabled how they learn. Because if you just try to stick everyone in this one box, it's not going to be really effective across the company.
That's a really good point. Like doing the most to kind of bridging the gap and making sure that this is the right structure and status to learn that basically.
Totally. And yeah. And I think just having one-off enablement is also really poor. make it so that it's scheduled, right? Make it so that they know once a month they're going to do a competitive session, or once a month they're going to do a product enablement session. And so they can know, okay, the third Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, it's going to be this time, right? And that's really important. And they know that's going to happen.
And, just beating that drum over and over again, right? Like, give it to them once. That's never going to stick. Like, they've got 10,000 other things going on.
Yeah. I mean, sales reps are busy. Marketers are busy. We're all busy. We all have tons of things to do, right? One webinar is not going to do
Pat, I'm going to tell you right now, if I was one of your competitors right now, I'd be listening to this episode and copying everything you're doing and say, I'm doing this for our organization now. Thanks, Pat.
I know all the people doing my roles. That's the great thing about competitive intelligence. It's a really small industry. So you learn and you meet everyone. And
that's really cool. That's it. That's it on my end too. We have any further questions? If not, I already previewed your book, Pat, but I'm curious if there's any other projects that we should be aware about that you've got on the back burner.
I'm on LinkedIn a lot, posting some stuff. I'm going to actually be launching a YouTube channel soon on just competitive intelligence. So
awesome! Wow.
Stay tuned for that. Ooh. But I have a question for you guys.
All right.
You asked me in the beginning, is product marketing? Now I'm going to ask you a question. Is competitive intelligence product marketing?
Ooh. We knew this. We knew this day was going to come.
You know what?
Getting put on the spot.
No. I'm going to say no. After I've learned enough about it, I think there's so much synergy in terms of you have to do a lot of research, you have to do a lot of analysis, but what comes out of that analysis is a lot of times different things when you have the bandwidth for competitive. But I will say this, and I think these guys, you can vouch for this, so I don't want to overstep on this comment. But even as we've built out this pod and we've talked about what content to build and how to position and all that, I've brought up the competitive part of it on several occasions and to help influence our product marketing efforts, I think. So I am a firm believer that they are different, but product marketing, to be really good, you need that element of CI in it. And I think a lot of it, because PMM's got a checklist of 50 things, it ends up being down in their bottom 40 that they actually get to. So long-winded answer, but no. But PMM needs CI.
Pat, I'm like, for one thing, I'm going to be so excited once you get this YouTube channel because I feel like this is going to be like a free college course on CI you're going to deliver here. The second one is that CI are not product marketers. I'm going to give an example here from Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is an incredible basketball player, terrible baseball player. I would, and even though that like the fundamentals of CI are baked in product marketing, I'm like, I will agree with everyone on that too. So you're going to work different muscles from as a product marketer and as a CI. And I feel like from our conversation we're hearing from you today is that there's different muscles that you're going to flex on more and then you need to hone in on more to be an effective CI professional that you really don't get as a traditional product marketer. So that's my answer.
I agree, and I hope you're comparing me to Michael Jordan of basketball, not Michael Jordan.
Without a doubt.
Okay, so make sure I'm not Michael
calling you the Michael Jordan of shoes. That's awesome. That's the most successful of all three of them.
Those are really two amazing responses. You guys should have left me a couple of ammunition to answer, but I would say no as well. We had a couple of CI experts like you on the show, and I really feel like it's an essential part to kind of navigate again what you do in product marketing. And I feel like it's a bit unfair to putting it in product marketing because then it just go back to the narrative of this is a line item and you're not giving enough love to that part. So I'm really seeing an evolved version of product marketing that can really enhance everything you're doing. Again, I just use a buzzword that during our messaging torture room we want to move away from. I don't think enhance is a good adjective, but yeah, I agree that CI isn't in product marketing. That's my take.
I agree with all you guys. Yeah, 100% agree. CI is not part of product marketing, but product marketing needs some CI.
Thanks for asking that because we have not been asked that. And you are a third CI, pro. I've had a lot of fun today. Cool. Thanks, man, for coming. It was a great time having you on and learning a lot more about how you're doing things over there. And yeah, thanks for coming to another episode of We're Not Marketers.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Pat.
Pat.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to We're Not Marketers. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe, review our podcast, and share this episode with other PMMs. Thanks again, and see you soon.